The Dallas Cowboys are entering training camp surrounded by tension, uncertainty, and a whole lot of spotlight on one name, Micah Parsons. Despite being present, Micah's situation remains a looming cloud over the franchise, as his long-term contract talks appear to be stalled, almost ignored. Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones both addressed the topic in their State of the Team press conference, but it quickly became evident that there's been minimal movement. Jerry oddly referenced Emmitt Smith's contentious contract saga as a comparison, which is baffling considering how poorly that situation was handled at the time. Worse yet, Jerry inaccurately stated that Micah missed 6 games last year when the correct number is 4, a factual slip that undermines credibility and suggests either confusion or carelessness. Meanwhile, Stephen attempted to clean up the remarks by hinting he's been in touch with Parsons' agent, but his defensive body language, arms folded, terse responses painted a different picture. The vibe wasn't confidence, it was deflection. Fans are now left to wonder, is this a calculated slow-play negotiation tactic, or is the front office simply botching another superstar contract? Beyond Parsons, the Cowboys appear to be dancing the same tired two-step with other players due for extensions. Stephen suggested that the team was open to deals beyond Micah, even throwing Tyler Smith's name into the mix. But when pressed on whether any actual conversations have taken place, he ducked the question entirely. It's the classic Cowboys routine: say the right things, but show no urgency. Jerry, for his part, took some curious jabs at other players like Trevon Diggs, who was recently placed on the PUP list. Diggs' contract stipulates he must report or forfeit significant money, and while the front office has every right to enforce that, the way Jerry repeatedly brought it up almost smugly felt personal and unnecessary. It gives the impression that the organization uses public pressure as leverage, which may work in the short term, but certainly doesn't build trust with star players. When your owner and GM are using press conferences to take thinly veiled shots at your own talent, that's not team unity, it's dysfunction parading as leadership. And while Jerry and Stephen continue to make headlines with their press conference drama, offensive coordinator Brian Schottenheimer tried to redirect the conversation toward football, specifically physicality and trench play. He emphasized the importance of winning the line of scrimmage once the pads go on, a message that's consistent with any coach in July. But again, words only go so far. The Cowboys have poured draft capital into the offensive line, Tyler Smith, Tyler Guyton, Cooper Beebe, and are paying Terrence Steele significant money at right tackle. On paper, the offensive line should be a strength, but it's far from guaranteed. Injuries, inconsistencies, and the transition of young players to the NFL mean there are still question marks. And on the defensive side? The interior defensive line, particularly at the tackle position, remains a glaring weak spot. The Cowboys want to be tougher up front, but when you look at the depth chart, especially at defensive tackle, the bodies aren't there to justify that philosophy yet. It's hard to dominate the trenches with hope and good intentions alone. You need dudes. You need production. And right now, it feels like the Cowboys are banking more on potential than proven ability. Schottenheimer did highlight Mazi Smith and Tyler Guyton as 2 players who have made solid early impressions, but that praise comes with expectations. Mazi, entering year 2, has to prove he's not just a rotational run stopper, but a difference maker. If he fails to make a leap, the Cowboys' investment in him will be questioned harshly. Tyler Guyton, meanwhile, has the physical tools, but will face a steep learning curve. Both players are key to the Cowboys' identity in 2025. If they falter, the consequences will ripple far beyond the line of scrimmage. Dallas wants to be a team that wins in the trenches, but that foundation is still being built in real time, and there's very little margin for error. Schottenheimer's hopeful tone can only go so far when the roster construction hasn't caught up to the team's aspirations. You can feel the urgency boiling beneath the surface, even if the front office won't say it out loud. These young guys have to hit, or everything else will begin to crack. Injuries are already beginning to test that fragile depth. For Cowboys, Trevon Diggs, Savion Redwell, Josh Butler, and DeMarvion Overshown have been placed on the PUP or NFI list to start training camp. Diggs is still recovering and remains one of the biggest concerns as Dallas tries to fortify its secondary. His absence not only weakens the coverage unit, but also casts further light on the team's handling of player relations and contract matters. Overshown, meanwhile, remains unlikely to be available before midseason, which creates a vacuum at linebacker that players like Kenneth Murray, Jack Sanborn, and Jabril Cox will need to fill in the meantime. There's talent, sure, but little cohesion. Dallas has talent spread across this roster like stars in the sky, but without availability, those stars can't form a constellation. And that, more than anything, is the Cowboys' ongoing problem. Great individual pieces that don't always come together at the right time. As if that weren't enough, whispers around Will Grier and Joe Milton's preseason reps only confirm the underlying quarterback pecking order. Milton is expected to get the lion's share of snaps this preseason, and while it may not seem like a big deal, it does point to how the Cowboys are preparing for possible future contingencies. Dak Prescott's contract status is still unresolved, and every moment Milton is on the field is another opportunity to evaluate life beyond Cubone. Don't misunderstand, this isn't a quarterback controversy yet. But in Dallas, things change fast. With so many contract situations unresolved, Doc, Micah, CeeDee Lamb, the future feels cloudier than ever. What should be a training camp focused on championship contention feels more like a high-stakes poker game being played by the Jones family. They're bluffing confidence while the chips are down, but fans can sense the tension, feel the disconnect, and see the cracks forming. This isn't just about the X's and O's. It's about trust, urgency, and whether the Cowboys finally have the leadership structure to turn potential into something real.